Hello, dear listener. I'm so glad you're here. Whether you've joined us with a cup of tea in hand, sitting by a window with the rain tapping gently outside, or cuddled up just before bedtime, welcome. This cozy little story is for you, and for anyone, of any age, who enjoys a warm tale told slowly, kindly, and with care. Today's story is called Conscious Consumerism, Choosing Quality Over Quantity. Don't worry, it's not a lecture. It's a soft, heartwarming journey through a quiet village where life moves at the pace of kindness. Our story begins in the village of Windyhill, a place tucked between rolling meadows and thick old woods. Every house in Windyhill had a little chimney, and every chimney let out the smell of cinnamon, pine, or bread. Gardens bloomed with lavender and climbing roses, and neighbors waved to one another from across stone fences, often trading apples for honey or warm scarves for a fresh loaf. In a small cobblestone cottage near the village square lived a young woman named Ella, with a big heart and an even bigger closet. You see, Ella loved things: trinkets, shoes, shiny jars, notebooks with golden edges, anything beautiful. She wanted to keep it. Her home was cheerful, but crowded. Every shelf was full, every drawer was stuffed, and still, Ella was always out looking for more. She'd say things like, "This teacup has a prettier handle," or, "These boots are softer than the ones I bought last week." And off she'd go to the town market, adding to her collection. Ella worked at the Windyhill bookshop, a cozy place with creaky wooden floors and velvet chairs where people came to read more than to buy. Her best friend, Tom, ran the shop with her. Tom was tall, thoughtful, and always wore the same dark blue sweater. He owned only one coat, 2 pairs of shoes, and a small collection of books he had loved since childhood. He wasn't simple. He was intentional. One rainy afternoon, as they were shelving a new stack of novels, Ella sighed. "I don't know where to put the new journal I bought yesterday," she said. "I had to move 3 candles just to make space." Tom looked at her with a small smile. "Do you use all those journals?" "Not really," Ella admitted. "But I might. Someday." Tom didn't say much. He just passed her a warm cup of chamomile tea and looked out the window, where the rain tapped against the glass like a lullaby. That night, as the wind curled through Windyhill, Ella sat in her armchair, surrounded by beautiful things. But for the first time in a long time, she felt a little crowded, not just in her house, but in her mind. And so, without quite knowing why, she decided that tomorrow she'd take a quiet walk to clear her thoughts. The next morning, Windyhill was bathed in golden light. The storm had passed, leaving puddles that sparkled like glass and trees that shook off raindrops like sleepy dogs. Ella bundled up in one of her many scarves, slipped into boots she'd only worn twice, and stepped outside with no plan at all. She wandered down stone lanes, past the bakery where warm bread perfumed the air, and into the edge of the forest where moss grew on tree trunks and the sun made everything glow green. Her thoughts drifted like clouds, light, curious, and a little restless. She thought about the journal she hadn't opened yet, the blanket she'd forgotten she owned, the vase still in its box, waiting for a shelf that didn't exist. As she walked, she came upon an old cottage she'd never noticed before, nestled between 2 ancient oaks. Smoke curled from its chimney. On the porch sat a small woman with a silver braid, polishing a pair of boots that looked older than Ella herself. "Good morning," the woman called, without looking up. "Good morning," Ella replied, a little shy. "You're welcome to rest a moment," the woman said kindly. "Travelers usually do." Ella sat on the wooden step and glanced around. Everything here was old but not worn out. The chair creaked but was sturdy. The boots were weathered but clearly cared for. There was a stillness to the place, the kind that came from having enough and wanting little. "Your boots are beautiful," Ella said. "They were my mother's," the woman replied. "I've had them resoled 3 times. Still the best pair I've ever owned." Ella blinked. "You've kept them that long?" "Why not? They fit, they work, and they remind me of her." The woman stood and motioned inside. "Would you like to come in? I've just brewed blackberry tea." Inside, Ella found the cottage to be small and bright. A single shelf held 5 carefully chosen cups. A patchwork blanket was folded neatly by the hearth. There was space not just physically, but emotionally. The air felt unhurried, gentle, thoughtful. That afternoon, as Ella sipped her tea and listened to stories of old boots, hand-mended coats, and books passed down like treasure, something in her heart shifted. And by the time she returned home, the wind at her back and a new peace in her chest, she wasn't thinking about what she could buy next. She was thinking about what she already had. The next few days in Windyhill moved slowly and sweetly. The clouds came and went. Children played by the pond with paper boats, and sparrows perched on windowsills like tiny messengers of joy. Inside her cottage, Ella sat quietly, sipping tea from one of her many mugs, though this time, she noticed how heavy her shelves were, how the cupboards creaked with the weight of unopened boxes, how so many of her belongings had never truly been loved, just bought in a moment of want. That evening, she took a deep breath and began with one shelf. She placed a small woven basket on the table and gently filled it with a few things she no longer needed: a teacup that had a twin, a scarf she'd never worn, and a notebook she hadn't even unwrapped. She tied the basket with a bit of twine and left it by her neighbor's gate, where she knew it would be appreciated. It felt peaceful. The next morning, she gave away a second basket, this one, to the bakery girl who had always admired Ella's embroidered apron. The girl's face lit up like sunrise. Ella wasn't emptying her home, just clearing space for what mattered. She still kept her favorite things: a chipped mug with painted daisies, the quilt her grandmother had sewn, the blue dress she wore every spring. But now, her home breathed. The air felt lighter, the windows brighter. Even her cat, Thimble, seemed to stretch more happily in the sunlight. One Sunday afternoon, Tom came by with a jar of plum jam. "Your home looks calmer," he said, smiling. "I feel calmer," Ella replied. "I've started letting go of the things I don't use or love, and I've started keeping only what I truly cherish." Tom poured them each a cup of tea and nodded. "That's conscious living." Ella smiled. "I used to think happiness was collecting things. Now I think it's collecting meaning." That week, she began writing in one of the journals she had saved. Just one. She wrote about the old woman's boots, the blackberry tea, and how joy doesn't come from owning more, but from loving better friendships, better choices, better care. Outside, the world kept turning in its gentle way, and Windyhill bloomed as it always had. But inside Ella's home, and inside Ella herself, something had shifted, not in a loud, dramatic way, but in the softest, most lasting kind. The seasons turned gently, like the pages of a much-loved book. Leaves fluttered down from the old maple trees, and Windyhill wore a golden scarf of autumn. Ella's home grew cozier by the day, not fuller, but warmer. Each object had its place and purpose. Her shelves no longer sagged, but her heart felt steady and full. She still visited the market, of course, but now, when something caught her eye, she paused and asked, "Do I truly need this, or do I simply want it for a moment?" And often, that pause was enough. One afternoon, a traveling storyteller passed through Windyhill. He stopped at the bookshop, offered to trade a tale for a sandwich, and stayed to share stories around a firelit table. When he spoke of distant lands and people who carried everything they needed in a single bag, Ella listened with shining eyes. When he finished, she offered him a small woolen shawl, one she had once forgotten, at the back of a drawer. "It's lovely," she said, "but I don't need it. I'd like someone else to stay warm." The storyteller wrapped it around his shoulders and smiled. "You live richly," he said. Ella tilted her head. "Richly? But I don't have much." "You have what you love," he said simply, "and nothing more weighing you down." That night, Ella sat by her window with Thimble curled in her lap. Outside, the moon glowed gently on the rooftops of Windyhill. She watched the quiet world, thought of her friends, her little home, and the space she had made, not just in her cottage, but in her heart. And she felt just right. And so, dear friend, that's the story of Ella and Windyhill, a quiet reminder that more isn't always better. that life doesn't have to be crowded to be full, that choosing quality over quantity in the things we buy, the people we keep close, and the time we spend can lead to the richest kind of life. If this story warmed your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, and come back for more gentle, meaningful tales. Whether you're sipping tea or tucking into bed, there's always a cozy story waiting here for you. Until next time, may your shelves be light, your heart be full, and your days slow and sweet.